every single flag change in the last 100 years. By force, man, big world. We got a lot to cover here. So we're starting in the year 1924, which obviously is after World War I. The world was looking something like this just before an Austrian painter takes over Germany. I love these videos because not only does it show what was happening from like a war perspective, but we're gonna see just even the smallest minuscule details change. Just if a country, for whatever reason, wanted to change their flag. And that happened a lot. You'd be surprised. So here's Asia in 1926. So we have different parts of the world divided up into continents, and as we go to 1927, so it's going to be very interesting to see. I mean, first of all, Asia is one of the biggest continents in the world. It is the biggest continent. There's a lot of countries. There's going to be a lot of flag changes that happen in Asia. But I am very curious to see what continent we focus on a lot here. Obviously, there's Africa. Africa's completely colonized, as we saw. The year is 1928, and now we got to go back to Asia. There's not going to be pretty much anything happening in South America. Sorry, South America. There hasn't really been a whole lot going on in the last 100 years in South America. North America is pretty much just surrounded by Union Jacks, and the USA is Oceania, which I don't really know what's going to happen, what kind of changes will happen there. Europe is going to be the main battleground, so any changes that happen inside of Europe, it's because of wars usually, but not necessarily. One of my favorite flag changes in the last 100 years is going to come in 1999, arguably one of the most monumental flag changes of all time. It's 1931, so we're just heading into World War II. There's a lot of chaos happening in Asia. Remember, World War II didn't necessarily start when like Germany invaded Poland. There was tension leading up to that, especially in Asia. And this is where we're seeing a lot of the flag changes as Qatar goes away from like a Kade model, Saudi Arabia pulling a sword out for whatever, or they're doing different things with the sword. Europe going back to, Germany going back to like kind of an older style. They will be pulling out the swastika. There's the swastika in 1935, which is interesting because, you know, Hitler took power in 1933. Kind of interesting. He went with the Imperial German flag for 2 years there. Why didn't he just keep that? The Soviet Union, the communists as a whole, they love to do flag changes, and that's what we're going to see a lot of this stuff in Asia. The communists, keep in mind that a lot of Asia is all under the Soviet Union, but the video has all the territory divided up because it has to be that way. Obviously, Russia is going to collapse, or the Soviet Union is going to collapse into Russia and the former states, so they got to make sure those categories are all listed. So even Russia themselves is changing. Again, Saudi Arabia doing a whole lot of flag changes. They're about to kind of discover and get a whole lot of rich oil money very soon. Even it's interesting because the Soviet Union territory is divided obviously between the European continent and the Asian continent. You have Central Asia, things like that. So it's 1938. We're 1 year away before, the Anschluss has just happened, before Poland it gets conquered. The Germans go in, and there it goes, bam. So it's been divided up. I remember watching this video because we've seen individual continents get divided. This is a video with all of the flags of the world getting all the changes. Interesting they chose to give Poland the German flag when it was divided with the Soviet Union as well. Guess it's just easier to give them the German flag. That way in 2 years when Germany does take over all this stuff during Operation Barbarossa, you don't got to make any changes. Even Montenegro changing, which Montenegro doesn't necessarily exist. We have North America in 1939. Now this is going to be a little more interesting. Again, I haven't seen some of these continents and their flag changes. North America was not a part of World War II in 1939. Well, actually Canada, you could count Canada, but it'd take the US 2 more years before they joined in. So it was literally just one change that happened in North America. Meanwhile, okay, so 1940, we're about a year in. It's the UK that's the only one that's left standing. France has surrendered. And for some reason, maybe the Soviets knew that, well, Mongolia's communist at this time, maybe the Soviets knew that they were about to get invaded, so they have to make a bunch of cool flag changes before the Germans come and invade them. Latvia, all the Baltic countries are going to come under Soviet control. There goes France. There goes Norway. There goes Denmark, the Netherlands. I think that's about it in terms. I think we've named everyone in the year 1940. Oh, Belgium too, and they already changed Luxembourg. So obviously, there's a whole lot of no German flags all around Europe, Yugoslavia, Greece. Pretty soon, do they give Greece the German flag or do they give Greece the Italian flag? I think they give it the German flag. Here's Slovenia, which is going to fall. Serbia, they were all again under the Yugoslavian country at this point. I didn't realize that Estonia didn't change yet. Okay, so it's 1941. Operation Barbarossa has changed. That's why it started. That's why Ukraine just was forced to change their flag. And now we're going to shift over to Asia. They have a random change while they're being invaded. Africa. Wait, what was that? Italian Somaliland has been taken over by British Somaliland. Oh, that's really interesting because the British were fighting the Italians in the African front. So I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of what's going to change the Japanese occupation. So Japan has taken over a lot of those islands in Oceania. Oceania from the US. The US is officially in World War II now, and obviously in Asia, Japan is taking over a lot. Now, Japan had the Imperial German flag, or Imperial Japanese flag. You don't want to use that flag, though. That flag is, Italy is now technically under German control because Italy is being invaded from the peninsula. The south, the Allies are coming in. Yugoslavia, I guess, has been liberated. It's 1944, so we're 1 year away from World War II. The German Empire is beginning to collapse, and now we're going to have a bunch more communist flags that join the video right here. Oh, there we go. So now the U.S. is about to take away a lot of the possessions that the Japanese gained in Asia. Poland has been liberated in 1945. Even the German flag itself is going to change. It's going to change to, is it a German occupied? There was a momentary German occupied flag because Germany gets occupied by 4 different states, obviously the Allies. Oh, Germany's just going to get their monitor. So there's Western Germany, but we don't have Eastern Germany. Indonesia has got their independence. Okay, so in Asia, now there's going to be this whole, because World War II is over, big old decolonization that's going to happen. France, the British, the Netherlands, everyone's going to lose all their colonies, basically. So that's where a lot of these next couple flag changes are going to be happening. Also, anyone that turns into a communist nation, because we are entering the Cold War era. This is before China has turned communist. This is before the Korean War has taken place, but that's about to happen very soon. So Bulgaria has changed to a communist-style flag because all of Eastern Europe is occupied. I guess the Italians that was Africa. This was a colony in Eritrea. Okay, so that gets given to the British. They're going to be letting that go. South Asia's getting their independence. British Raj is no longer a thing. India is now free. Pakistan's now free. There's East Pakistan, which is Bangladesh, but they're going to take a little bit longer to get their freedom. Couple of different small islands. See, I'm really liking some of the smaller details because I've covered a lot of the changes that happen in Asia and Europe because that's where a lot of the action is taking place. Some of these flag changes that happen in South America, Oceania, real minuscule, but things that I didn't know. So like the Falklands, oh, that's going to be interesting here in the future. One of my favorite places, South Georgia and the Sandwich Islands. I just like the name of that. So they're going to get some coat of arms. Bulgaria and Romania back in Asia in 1948. Cambodia, oh yeah, we have the Vietnam War to talk about. Israel has officially been established, I guess. We have Myanmar changing their flag. The Korean War is about to take place because we have a North Korean flag that's just entered the game. Oh, I like how the lion has just kind of trotted over into the flag. China's officially gone communist in 1949. The communist side won the Civil War. Taiwan has the Democratic side and the Democratic flag. Andorra's making a little bit of some small facelifts. Again, one thing I've noticed by watching these videos, communist nations love to change their flag. They just love to do little updates whenever they can. I mean, dang, I wish the U.S. states would do some of that. They need to include, I would love to see this video with U.S. states included, although I don't think U.S. states have done many flag changes. Territory of, was that Australia? The year's 1950. So this is where the British are beginning to lose pretty much everything. There's going to be a lot of decolonization that happened. The British are going to let things go. Then the French. French were a little bit more resistant to that whole thing. I guess they still technically are. Belarus is now got their familiar looking flag, but remember, it's still the Soviet Union in the 50s. A lot more blue is being added like all over the place, I guess to differentiate between the actual USSR flag. Oh, the Ethiopian Empire is back in 1953. There you go. Latvia and all the Baltic nations are still under control. Man, they were making so many flag changes. North America, we got the Bahamas changing the crown, and Oceania, again, another crown change here. Wow. A lot of places, a lot of small places. Oh, I didn't realize Venezuela had that flag change in the 50s. This is such a crazy... Okay, so Sudan has gotten their freedom. Ghana has gotten their freedom. A lot of African countries, like I said, Togo has changed their flag. It looks like they still might be under France. I'm not sure, but France is beginning to let things go. Kind of. They're going to. It's more in the 60s. A lot of little coat of arm changes, though, like I said. I mean, think about at this time, everyone thought the world was about to literally end. Like, you just saw World War I, and you just got out of World War II. There's now 2 remaining powers, the US and the Soviet Union. Like, I can't even blame people for thinking it was gonna be the end of the world. But we also had these new weapons that could literally destroy the world. So I'm wondering if some of these flag changes were just like things like, hey, we want to make sure we look cool in history before civilization literally dies out. Okay, so there we go. France is now beginning to decolonize in the late 50s. So Togo is making... So a lot of the old French... Well, the French flags are going away. Chad doing... I mean, I don't want to say copying Romania's homework, but similar. There's still debate about that. There's still, yeah, Niger. And who else do we have? Wow, they literally was just... Everything was just going. Republic of the Congo. And Now it's 1959 in Asia. Asia, there's still plenty of things that need to happen. Cuba going from a light blue to more of a darker blue. Oh, and then yes, is that US, is that Hawaii and Alaska becoming states? I believe so. Suriname. Oh my goodness, what is that? Suriname, what is that? How have I literally never seen this? That is crazy. Love this alternative version though, Suriname in the style of the United Kingdom because they're divided between Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland, England, and then here's the overall flag. Finally, it's the year 1960. Oh, Brazil added a little star for whatever reason. Had no idea that changed. Okay, and again, I guess the US is also adding a little star, a little bit bigger than the Brazilian star that was just added. Cyprus is now not a British colony anymore. Congo adding more stars. Wow, a lot of this is just star changes. Gabon has officially got their own independence. The Ivory Coast has done a mirror image of the Irish flag, funny enough. French Senegal is getting their freedom. Togo, again, trying to figure it out. I mean, you can't really blame some of these nations that are still trying to figure it out once they get their independence. They've just been free for like a year or two. I think they have the liberty to change their flag a couple times around, in my opinion. There's some very similar looking South. Oh, that's right. Rwanda with the big R. South Africa is going to have some similar flags. This is going to be before that gets split up a bit more. Kuwait, Syria, a lot of the Middle East is going to start to gain a lot of wealth. Nepal gets a little bit more changes, I'm pretty sure, in the next like couple decades. Burundi with a nice flower on theirs. Uganda, these flag animations are actually so beautiful. Samoa, like sometimes the way they're done is just really nice to look at. So we're entering into a time where the Vietnamese War, the Vietnam War is getting more and more intense. The US is starting to put more and more troops there as we head into the late 1960s, early 1970s. North America, again, the Bahamas doing a whole lot with their, Canada's officially going with their leaf status. They're officially kind of freer from the crown. The way Canada got their independence is very interesting. It's always kind of been a bit complicated to me. I think most of Africa at this point, or at least by the end of this decade, definitely the 60s, it'll be free. There's probably going to be less flag changes, but maybe some minor ones. They're definitely more independent. Oh, that's a new one, Grenada. Okay, some of these flags I've literally never seen before, and I'm kind of surprised by that just because I've been doing this for so long. I feel like I've seen every modern version of a flag and their previous versions, but there are some on this list that I've never seen. Equatorial Guinea has got their independence from Spain. Spain is still technically a fascist country being led by Francisco Franco at this time. Another star. Okay, Brazil really liking to add those little stars right there. Nauru. Oh boy. Oh, okay, not yet. Cambodia's about to go crazy mode with the Khmer Rouge. They're going to have a flag change coming up. Oh, that looks tight. Greece with the dark blue. I didn't even know they did that. Still, communist nations changing things around. Bulgaria, Romania. We now have Bangladesh officially free. They're no longer East Pakistan anymore. There the Bahamas go, looking a little bit more familiar by the 70s. And now the Vietnam War is ending. It is now, there's a bunch of chaos that's going to happen in Afghanistan. Afghanistan has had so many flag changes in the last 100 years. I forgot about all those memes. Ethiopia takes the crown off their lion. I wonder why they did that. And a lot of the Portuguese areas are going to get their independence. That's right, Portugal was one of the last countries to let go of their African possessions, but now they're finally beginning to do it. It's 1975. We're specifically on the African continent. Man, the lion was so cool though. There goes Cambodia. Oh no, still not yet. It's gonna get, okay, Laos. Laos was in some chaos. The Americans are officially out because it's 1976 almost. Oh, that's when they got rid of it. Well, they had it for a good amount of time there. There it is, Khmer Rouge. Okay, so Vietnam's gonna come in and put a stop to that in a couple years. France lets go of Djibouti in Africa. Afghanistan with another flag change. They're officially a communist nation. The Soviets are about to invade. I like Greece with the dark blue. Can they go back to that? One of the only flags with purple on it, Dominica. Used to be very hard to get purple on flags. They used to never put purple dye on flags because it was too difficult to find that color. I actually predict there's not going to be a whole lot of flag changes in the 1980s. We're going to see about this. Well, Afghanistan's going to change some stuff, but there wasn't like too many big empires collapsing, and a lot of places had already decolonized. There wasn't very many wars happening, so the 1980s might be the most boring time. And actually, the video literally reflects that. If you look at the 1980s, look how small this area is. My prediction was correct. Things do change a lot in the 90s because of Yugoslavia and Russia collapsing. Wow, so the 1980s was like the Great Depression for vexologists out there. Wow, thank goodness I didn't grow up around then. Like all these flag changes are happening, usually it's just because the nation is making like new design edits basically. Jeez, Afghanistan, chill. Boom, 1989, the Iron Curtain, the Berlin Wall's collapsing. All of Eastern Europe is going to make some changes. Okay, the 1990s was a pretty big time, especially, okay, now we have to watch the fall of the Soviet Union. And here we go, Azerbaijan getting their freedom, Georgia getting their freedom, Iraq just making a little change there. There's about to be Desert Storm is about to happen, or maybe it already did. Belarus does a little bit of some changes, obviously. I like that animation with the fingers. Kazakhstan, they were the final USSR member. Now we have to do Yugoslavia, like I just said. So all these Well, that big nation's just gonna have to get all their own flags, basically. Another star, Brazil? I don't think I fully realized this, but those stars represent the states and federal districts, so they kind of have a similar American thing going on. That's why they have to add one every once in a while. 1993, the Cold War is definitely over by now, and well, I think now we just have to, the U.S. is going to invade Afghanistan and Iraq. I like those Comoros' flag, just a giant, I mean, it's funny they use the moon, but it looks like a giant sea also. There it is. There it was. The big Japanese flag change in 1999. We could just end this video now. We're at the new millennium. Wow, no flag changes happened in the year 2000. It immediately went to 2001. I mean, I know that does happen sometimes. Again, Afghanistan changing. St. Lucia with a lighter blue that they're working with. And again, by this point, the flag changes are literally just minor stuff. 2011. Oh, that's right. Who was that nation that just had the green flag? It's funny how the world and the internet now pays attention to this stuff. Like, you could pretty much change your flag. Before 2021, I remember that being a big thing when Afghanistan changed their flag to that white background. You can't change your flag anymore without, like, at least us knowing. We're gonna know. You used to be able to change your flag and probably no one in the world cared. We care now. People are gonna be watching videos like this for the next 100 years, seeing every little thing and criticizing the crap out of you, which is pretty funny. Again, the video was by Forceman Big World. Please go subscribe. This was an incredible video. A lot of cool flags that I didn't even know existed. And big thanks to my patrons this month.
Drew, je suis ton père de retour avec le lait, regarde dehors.
DOOCHBAGGINS. Amateur Archaeology, Carmel
Ich
Saida,
kann ohne Drecksstimme nicht schlafen.
Fredrik Tibblin, InquisitorXarius, DaBeautiful-MEGAN-Underwood, JohnDenver, KirinoIsBestGirl, the Mexicans, 760.